Joining me now is Randy Zook. He is the CEO of the Arkansas State Chamber of Commerce and the Associated Industries of Arkansas, the biggest title of any person.
Longest title in civilization.
Let's talk about what kind of session the state's business community had. The 89th General Assembly, all done except for sine die, and maybe a run at a veto override. I doubt it. But
maybe.
How would you rate the session in terms of how the business community fared?
Well, Robbie, I think we had a good session. We're pretty pleased with the outcome. There was not much damage done. That's always our first concern. First, do no harm. So there was no legislation that undermined business in any way that we can get our hands on. So we think we did pretty well, and we got some really positive things done at the same time. I think on a 1 to 10, it's a 9+ result for business.
Let's talk about a couple of things that you guys got behind and a couple of things that happened in your favor. Let's start first with tax cuts. There were some very targeted tax cuts that helped the business community, manufacturers in particular, the agricultural community, which is a big component of the state's business climate. Was there anything that you thought should have been done in terms of tax cuts that did not?
Well, two of our two primary targets were sales tax reductions to try to make us more competitive with surrounding states. Specifically, one would be a further reduction in the sales tax on utilities for manufacturers. This is sales tax paid on electricity and natural gas for manufacturers. This is considered a business input tax and bad tax policy because it sort of stacks itself into a business's costs and in turn its prices. So we are the only state of the states that touch Arkansas that still have any kind of tax remaining on that business input. So we wanted to make more progress on that, and indeed we did. As a result, over the next couple of years, what's left of that tax on industry, on manufacturing, will go away. The second thing was a similar tax that's applied to repair parts for machinery and equipment. We got to start with this one, not as much as we had hoped for, but it is a start.
How much did you get?
Got 1% that will start in fiscal 15, so okay. July of next summer, July of 14, that opportunity for a tax exemption or tax rebate will go into place for Arkansas manufacturers.
You got behind the Big River Steel project, the state's first super project, utilized Amendment 82. I felt like there was a point in time in the session where it was a little dicey as to where this may go. It all worked out in the end, but what's your sense on that?
Well, exactly right. I think there was a time when it was, maybe kind of hanging in the balance, maybe a 50-50 proposition. But I think once people really dug into the facts and understood how soundly the deal had been put together and what a good job AEDC had done in negotiating that deal, I think they saw and realized that there were plenty of protections, plenty of clawbacks, plenty of elements in that deal that protect the state's interests and the taxpayers' interests. And I think it's a good deal.
What are you hearing since then, now that it's approved? Obviously it moves to the next phase, the next level. What are you hearing from folks out in northeast Arkansas? Are you hearing from folks, I guess, just around the Capitol in terms of what happens next?
Well, I think the very next thing that's going to happen is a PSC hearing tomorrow morning on the energy rate that's proposed for the electricity costs for the mill. So that's the very next step in the process, and we anticipate that'll go favorably. But I think people are basically looking forward to the results. This is going to be a huge construction project. I think they're talking about at least 2,000 employees for the next roughly 3 year for the 3-year construction period. So that's going to have a big impact in northeast Arkansas.
You and the State Chamber of Commerce came out very publicly towards the end of the session in favor of the private option too. Basically, the argument was doing nothing was going to cost Arkansas businesses as much as $35 million in penalties and taxes. Do you think you guys, A, helped kind of swing that vote over the high threshold that it had to do, and B, what are you hearing in response from the business community now that private option looks like it will be the law of the land?
I think people are realizing that this was the best, this might have been the best looking horse in the glue factory, if that's one way to put it. It might not have been something that business thought we needed to move ahead on, but once the realization kind of sunk in that, look, this is the law of the land, and we've got to figure out the very best deal possible, and I think we struck the best deal possible for Arkansas. And our hat is off to all the legislative leaders who took that bull by the horns and got it done, starting with Senator Dismang and certainly Speaker Carter, Senator Sanders, Representative John Burris in the House. Those guys, I mean, they have put heart and soul into this thing for at least the last 6 months and did a great job of pulling it together, along with Governor Beebe. He first of all, of course, as the governor. So I think we've come out with a good solution to a challenging issue, and I think it's one that we're going to look back on in just a few years and say, boy, that wasn't quite as, you know, painful as we had feared it might be. And we're going to have a lot better, healthier workforce as a result of this, because most of the people who are eligible for this benefit are already employed. They're the working poor, if you want to call it that. They're in jobs that are relatively low wage levels, but the businesses, because of that, there's just not much value created in some of these jobs, so there's not enough room to pay for benefits like health insurance. So I think it's going to be a good thing, but it was a very difficult issue. And did we have any impact? We'd like to think so. You know, I don't know if we.
They say you're an influential group.
Hey,
Randy.
we try to, you know, we try to deliver the facts. We try to deliver an honest viewpoint from the business community and try to make sure businesses' concerns are represented in any discussion. And sometimes we do better than other times, but we think we did pretty well on this one.
You rated this a 9, maybe a 9.5. That means there was a little bit of room for improvement. I would argue that the one big fish that got off the hook was tort reform for the state's business community. That was not referred out of the legislature in terms of constitutional amendment proposals. Is there going to be a ballot initiative?
We are in discussions as we speak. This is under full consideration. If I had to guess, I'd say yes, there likely will be, and this will involve a petition campaign, signature gathering campaign. So if I had to guess and had to put down a bet right now, I'd say yes, there will be. A lot of work to do, and it's very expensive. So we've got to judge the support across the state. But my hunch is it's there, and that we will indeed end up running a campaign of some sort.
Any time frame in terms of deliberating on that?
Certainly by the end of the next 60 days, you know, sometime in the next couple of months, we'll know whether we're going to jump in full tilt or not. But my guess is we will.
We'll keep our eyes and ears peeled.
Yeah, stay tuned. Film at 11.
He is Randy Zook. He is the CEO of the Arkansas State Chamber of Commerce, Associated Industries of Arkansas. Randy, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, brother.
We'll be back next time. I'm Roby Brock. Take care.